What's going on, guys? Welcome back for another Opus 14 spoilers talk. Now, a lot of cards have been coming out, and they've been coming out quick. I did miss some last time, so I brought those along here. But yeah, I've just been finding a bunch since the last card of the week, and we have enough to talk about stuff. At the rate we're going and at the rate we're getting them, probably within the next few weeks, because we are about a month out before the next set. Almost exactly a month out from the next set, right? So we have a total of, let me do a quick count here, 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, 17, 20, 23, 26, 30, about 30 cards out from the set, right? Revealed now that we've talked about, with a bunch coming every day. So I think we'll hit about half of the set, maybe by the end of the month, before the set's actually fully released, like it normally is. And at which point, if we are able to do a part 3 of this, we might skip the set review. But if not, then we'll just jump into a set review, and I'll give you like the highlighted cards that we talked about that I like to talk about usually from each set. But yeah, so without further ado, today we're just gonna talk about these spoilers. We have a new primal. Then we're going to compare them, and then Dark Legendaries finally revealed too. So we have the Light and Dark Legendaries out. We saw Shinryu at the card of the week, and then today we have the Dark one. So we're going to start right here with these. Aphmau, Zenos, and Ilua. Ilua is one of the ones I missed last time. I think it was revealed a while ago, but I think I couldn't find it, or I lost it. But anyway, when Aphmau forward Puppet Master 11, when Aphmau is added to your hand from the break zone, you may pay 1 lightning. If you do so, play a card named Aphmau from your hand onto the field. I can see where this might be good. Being able to like play a forward from your break zone almost for 1 CP. But I feel like it's a wasted effect, getting a card back that isn't something useful, right? Like when you're playing a deck, you're often recurring cards from the break zone that are essential to your whole deck, right? Now, unless there's a Puppet Master deck, in which there is several cards that come out from like your break zone, right? Like then it just doesn't make sense to me, right? So, like, I know the other Puppet Master I think we talked about said choose a forward, dull it, and you can only use this. It doesn't do much, right? So it's not really in line with this. I think maybe one of these in a situation, but again, like, I'd rather be grabbing something else usually. So might not see play. Zenos I was really excited about. When Zenos enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 2 category 14 forwards among them to your hand, and put the rest of the cards into the break zone. When Zenos attacks, all category 14 forwards you control gain haste until the end of the turn. So this guy's a pretty strong rare. Not going to lie. He is going to go... Now, first of all, the 14 like is mostly Scions, right? Like, that's what we see here. And then we did have like... that starter deck that brought a lot of those 14 guys, and that I can't remember his name, but when he comes out, deal 3k to something for every 14 card that comes out. So a couple things that come to mind when I see this card is that you can splash this in Scions, or make like a Scion variant version deck where you're grabbing different 14 category forwards and then dropping some, so you can play both Y'shtola and the new whatever her name is, the light chick, warrior of light, lady of light, I think her name is. I really don't remember right now. But in that case, you have access to both of their effects, right? Like you are doing, like, you have access to Y'shtola being able to recur stuff, and as well as the other one being able to reborn something when she removes herself from play, right? So that's just an idea. And then giving everyone haste when you attack leaves space for a lot of things, right? Being that it's in fire already has options to give things haste, like, Belias or Sage, or, I think it has a few more. But putting him down, getting the forwards you need, and setting up a big turn, and then giving him haste in order to give everyone haste is really good. So I like this card for a lot of reasons. I think this one will definitely see play. He is the box art. We finally reviewed, like, no, it's Zenos. I don't play 14, so I wasn't going to catch this one. So, yeah. Next is Alua, a new Alua, which is nice. 1 drop forward haste. When Alua attacks, you may dole any number of active fire backups you control. When you do so, choose a forward. Deal it 3,000 damage for each backup you doled. This due to this ability, and Alua gains 3,000 power for each backup you doled due to this ability until the end of the turn. Okay, so it's pretty good. I like that. You can go up to, like, on an average 9, and you deal 6. You could probably go higher, like, just to be safe, but it would have to be all at once, right? You'd have to dole them all at once to go there, but that's a waste of a lot of backups. But on turns where you're pushing for game and you don't want to, and you this is like a control card in my opinion, right? Because you don't want to play anything else from your hand, right? You know, fire usually sits on 5 anyway, and it's just holding on to Amaterasu or, you know, Ifrits or something, or Fritas anyway. So having her out on a board, or having her out survive pretty much a turn, right? Meaning that your next turn is going to be a bigger push. And she's going to be really good to help control the board, right? So the earlier you have her in the game, and the more set up you are, the better she's going to be. So, you know, this is like a turn 2 drop, like normal, but you're also building board, right? So you can pitch one to tap, you know, put it back up, and then pitch one to play her, and then swing in. Now, after that, if she manages to survive, you're pretty much swinging for 9 and dealing 6, and then you can go on from there. But again, Fire has moved itself into a control deck style, so she's gonna fit really well into that. And then now they have more like an innate haste in their deck, which is already a problem. On the other side too, we can splash this in Fire and Lightning, and then just make the other Lua give you more shoals. So next we have Leviathan Red 13 and Bagam Nan. So a new Leviathan EX summon, which is I'm always happy about. Select up to 2 of the following 3 actions. This is a 6-drop EX burst. Choose a forward your opponent controls, return it to its owner's hand. Choose a light forward or dark forward, put it at the top or the bottom of its owner's deck. Choose a water forward in your break zone and add it to your hand. So really good for an EX burst in my opinion, just because you're able to recur and like mess with something. We already saw Shinryu, so I think putting Shinryu to the bottom of the deck seems like a great idea. So this might definitely see play. We also have but the problem is the targeting ability, right? So X that's out of the way. But this one will make a little more sense too, as when we see the Dark Legendary, if you guys haven't spotted it yet. But it's a decent card. It should see some play, mainly because it's 2 out of 3 effects, right? And it is the EX burst, so I suspect it should see some play. And then it's always 1 less with Yuna out, so a 5 for all of this seems very good to me. When Red 13 enters the field, you may pay fire. You may pay 1 fire. If you do so, play a forward from your hand onto the field. If it leaves the field for any reason, remove it from the game instead. At the end of the turn, remove it from the game. Okay, so that's pretty interesting, but play 1 forward from your hand onto the field. So this is any forward, right? We're talking, I don't know why you would put a Neo X Death there, but you were talking Nidhogg, you were talking Sephiroth, you were talking, those just, Cloud of Darkness, any of those big drops that you usually have to build up to. This seems very crazy. I don't know. I think like the best thing obviously would be to drop something like a Sephiroth, right? Like turn 2, you're paying 2 to drop this, and then tapping your turn 1 back up to play a Sephiroth, and then discard your opponent for 2 on turn 2. Like that doesn't seem like right, but it's probably what's going to happen a lot. So being as Fire and Ice already live in the 7 realm a lot, this isn't going to be too much of a surprise, but I think this card is pretty strong for a 2-drop backup. And then at the end of if it leaves the field for any reason, remove it from the game. So that's just like a safety thing. And at the end of the turn, remove it from the game as well. That's just like a safety thing too, right? So you could obviously Renoa it, or do the White Mage, or the Time Mage, or any of those cards that kind of like lift it and replay it. And then you couldn't. That way you just can't keep it, right? It's never going to stay there for the turn. So you need something like that. Assuming you have 2 Sephiroths in hand, right? You can just bring them out and then go use a special, and then that's 4 cards out of your opponent's hand on turn 2, and you're good, right? Yeah, it seems strong, but I think there's going to be a lot of good ways to use this card, and I'm sure this set, and it has no limitations at all, so you can play multi-element cards, is what I'm understanding as well. We were just talking about the Lady of Light, right, or whatever. I'm gonna have to find her name really quick. But if you put her in there, and she, just leaves the field, I guess she removes herself from the field, so maybe not, right? At the end of the turn, remove her from the game instead. So I don't think that technically works. But yeah, I don't think so, actually, the more I think about it. So, but there is going to be other options like that, where something that when it leaves the field you can draw a card or something like that. So I don't know, there's potential here. That one's going to be very annoying to deal with. I'm just glad it's like a face character, not a multiples of, so you can't do this throughout the whole game. Next is Bagam Nan. He's another backup. When he enters the field, choose a forward your opponent controls, activate it. It gains, if possible, this forward must block until the end of the turn. I love this effect. I've always been a big fan of forcing them to block, which is why I like the new cloud we saw, and why I think it was the new cloud, right, guys? Let me take a quick look here. Forward is possible. This forward must block. Yeah, and then the old Galoof, like those were just really great effects, right? It's very. It doesn't let your opponent like stay in their comfort zone, right? It just it brings them into a situation where they have to expend resources, and or lose presence on the board and value it all together, right? So, this card is great. I like it a lot. I don't know how well it's gonna fit in a deck. I think maybe monks might take advantage of it. Like right now, just it's Earth. They play 2-drop backups anyway, and they're always filtering through their backup line. So I can see I'm pumping Ursula, and you don't want to block, but hey, I'm gonna make you this turn. Or you left your Ursula out last turn, so and you attacked, and you don't have your Brave yet. I don't know, any situation, right? There's going to be tons where you're going to be forced to, they're going to be forced to use stuff, and that's really what you want to do, right? Have your opponent like expend all their resources so you can, smooth sail to victory. Next we have Kamlanot, Chasselt, and a new Prish. When Kamlanot enters the field or attacks, choose a dual forward your opponent controls, deal it 2,000 damage for each ice backup you control, and then Lightblade S. Choose a forward, deal 2,000 damage for each ice character you control. So not bad for a 4-drop. I'm really happy that these 4-drops are getting like this, I'm not saying all 4-drops are getting this, but like I guess the power creep is there, right? Where it's when they enter and or they attack, and this is coming from a hero. So before it was either or, right? It was when it enters the field or when it attacks. Or not both, and the both ability was usually like on legendaries or something. So the power creep is there for cards like this. I like both of its effects. Choose a dual forward your opponent controls, deal 2,000 for each ice backup you control. As always, though, ice lives in that like bad spot where it's like it has to be dull, right? And then this doesn't dull innately. Oh, well, it does, right? Choose a dual forward your opponent controls. Choose a dual forward your opponent controls. Oh no, it doesn't dull innately. So you'll have to have something else to have it dull, and then. Unless you're giving him haste on your opponent's turns, you get what I'm saying. Like, it's still a little slow in some, but it's a good card. And then Lightblade is the better one, I think. Choose a forward, deal 2,000 damage for each ice character you control. Kamlanot has there's a lot of Kamlanots that exist, and I think one exists in ice already, so you playing multiples shouldn't be a problem. This card is searchable, and there's gonna be. It's not expensive, right? It's 4-drop to deal. I don't know, usually maybe 10k, right? Because you have 3 backups, maybe 2 forwards, or 4-1, anything like that, right? So 10k is a solid number for this. Obviously, later in the game, it's going to be better, but you should be okay. And if you're playing any monsters, it's going to be easier too. Chasselt, another FFBE. This is the War of the Visions. When he enters the field or a lightning character enters the field, choose a forward your opponent controls, deal it 1,000 damage. And then S into lightning, choose a damaged forward, break it. He's Knight is about the biggest thing I can take from this. I just think he's very underwhelming, and his S isn't that great. I think there's backups that do it technically for the same CP, right? Because you're just pitching and You're tapping 1 and pitching, so it's technically a little cheaper. I guess the 1000 is cool. Let your what's her name? I can't remember, the little 2-drop that lets you draw 2 cards when you have a damaged forward. Sakura is her name. Something like that. I don't know how much more little ping damage. The ping is just insufficient, right? If it was 2K, it makes more sense. Like, see, that's where Camelot's living right now, right? And yeah, I don't know. I don't think he'll see much play. I could be wrong, but yeah. Next is Prish Mobius, which is very important. 11. If you cast Prish, you may pay an extra Earth, Wind, and other. When Prish enters the field, if you paid the extra cost, reveal top 5 cards of your deck. Play up to 1 Wind character or Earth character of cost 5 or less among them onto the field, and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck. And at 3 damage, Prish gains 1000 power and Brave. So there's a good scenario here where you play this into what is her name? I'm gonna find her really quick because I have it on hand. Man, I'm really blanking on all these characters' names sometimes. It's so funny. Iris, right? And then when Iris comes in, you can activate your backups and then do other stuff, right? And then there's just the odds of playing. I don't know. There's a lot of good wind and earth characters that you can drop in here with this effect. She is 4 for 9 already, so that's something great. And at 3 damage, she gets 10k. She goes to 10k and Brave. So I don't know. This might be a good enough Prish to bring back a Prish deck too. Definitely seems something that I would definitely like to mess with. Next we have Anata and the new Primal, Garuda, Lady of the Vortex, and Sahajin, which is we're going to talk about in a bit. Now, just for the record too, I am recording this and there had already been new spoilers revealed, so we'll move those on to the next one. But Ananta backup. When Ananta enters the field, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 water card among them to your hand, and put the rest of the cards to the break zone. And then you can tap her to put Ananta in the break zone, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, and add a water card among them and to your hand, and put the rest of the cards into the break zone. So a solid effect, but you're losing a lot of cards there. So just so we know too, it looks like a wind one was revealed for an effect similar to this, and I'm wondering if maybe each element will get one. I think some decks will benefit better from an effect like this. I'm not sure if water will be the one to use it. We already have such good backups already, but this might be interesting too. I can see this as one of probably just to like get you into the right. If you're really looking for like combo pieces or like board setup, this is going to be fine. The value's there. You're getting a 2-drop. It's a 2-drop backup effectively, right? Because you're getting a card back, and then you get another one back later, but you're just losing too many cards in my opinion. I'm not necessarily fond of this effect, but I can see the merit, right? Especially if you're fishing for stuff or fishing for answers, this is going to be decent. So next is when Garuda, Lady of the Vortex, enters the field, choose a forward of power 9,000 or more your opponent controls, break it. Solid. When a forward of power 9,000 or more of your opponents enters the field, draw a card. So I like the first effect, and the second effect might not. Power. So I guess if they come into, so remember, like most power ups or 2 are like already like their field effects usually, and if they come in and they're already 10k due to the power up, you should draw a card from this. But I guess she's good enough just to break something. I don't know if a 6-drop to break, big forward is good enough for me, and I don't know how many cards you're gonna draw off of this in the future, but it really just sees. I would have a better evaluation of this if I knew what the meta was, right? Like right now, not everyone's bringing in 10Ks. They're bringing in smaller forwards that get bigger, or forwards that just grow, right? Like they get bigger, but they're not there yet. So really, we're going to talk about the chapters version in a second too. But we have Sahajin 14. When a water drop primal enters the field, activate Sahajin. Tap to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 card among them to the top of your deck and the other to the bottom of your deck. You can only use this ability if you control Water Drop Primal. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Okay, so you don't have to break him, which is good. So he can stay. I like that. That's actually really good. I'm very interested in this effect, but you have to have the Water Primal to use him, which is going to be Leviathan, which, again, I know was probably revealed, which is definitely revealed. I already saw it, but it won't be in this video, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's going to be good. Again, all of the primals will be getting one like this, right? So the Garuda is going to run the Ifrit, and probably, I don't know if we'll see any more primals in the set, but they should all be getting a backup or something similar to this that kind of supports them. And now let's break this down really quick. Sorry for the quality here. This is the best one I could find. But this is the difference, right? So we went from 7-drop to 6-drop, 10k to 9k, and then this is the effect. When Garuda Prime enters the field, make all backups you control active. If you control 4 wind element forwards or more, also declare 1 job. Return all forwards with that job other than Garuda Prime to their owner's hand. So very interesting effect. Something to return, something to bounce cards in wind is interesting. But this is the important part in my opinion. If you control 6 wind element backups or more, all forwards you control gain haste. It's hard for me to decide whether this was a nerf or not. Being able to just activate all your backups already is good for me. And then, like, with all those backups, you could play more forwards, and then everyone has haste. So, in that regard, yes, it was a nerf. I don't see how, like, breaking a 9k or higher is going to, like, change the game. I guess, really, I think what's gonna be important from these primals, like we saw with the Sahajin, is the support cards. Having them out means you're, like, filtering and drawing the cards you need, or searching for the cards you need, or anything in that like respect for each of them. Like, if having them out means that your other cards are working better at their full potential, then sure, I can see why the nerfs came, right? But I still don't think this is. I'd have to see what the wind cards do for this one. The Vanu, right? There might be I think they're Vanu, right, or something like that. The bird people from the game, and they'll just. Yeah, we'll see what they bring to this card. And lastly, this is going to be our last slide for today, that we have Tiamat, Omega, and Tonberry. When Tiamat enters the field, you may discard a job Chaos. When you do so, choose a character, cost 5 or more, break it. It's kind of the same thing, right? Like, 5 or more usually means they're 9 and up, but yeah, there's not a lot of job Chaoses. There's like 5. I just looked earlier, and they're all those weird forwards, and the backups. I think it's like just 1 backup actually, but still, there's not a lot there. So really, the chances for this aren't necessary, or like aren't that great. So I don't know. He's kind of a letdown, but he's a 9, so maybe that's helpful in the future. But he's off colors too for most 9 cards. Next is Omega, which is the Dark Legendary. At the end of each player's turn, if there is no weapon counter placed on Omega, place 1 weapon counter on Omega. If 1 or more weapon counters are placed on Omega, Omega deals your opponent 1 point of damage and remove all weapon counters from Omega instead. When Omega is chosen by your opponent's summon or ability, you may remove 1 weapon counter from Omega. If you do so, Omega gains cannot be broken until the end of the turn. So this is kind of what I was talking about with the bounce effect from Leviathan to send it to the bottom. This card is great, by the way. We'd known about this card for a long time. I think it was light in the chapter series as well, but it's cool that we finally got it. So, all right, at the end of each player's turn, which is very important, right? It's going to get a counter, which means at the end of your turn, he's safe for your opponent's turn, and at the end of their turn, you can probably hit it, right? If 1 or more Omega deals, if 1 or more weapons are placed on Omega, Omega deals 1 point of damage and remove all weapon counters instead. So yeah, it really just depends, like, what you want to do, like if you're going to be shooting for damage or protecting him, but you're going to have that option every other turn. So yeah, it's going to be good. But he does have a weakness, obviously, right? It's just cannot be broken, right? We don't break things anyway. We just lift them, we send them, we remove them, or your opponent chooses to send it to the break zone, right? Those are the words we were going to be looking for when fighting this guy. Still a good card, pretty strong. I can see people building a deck around this easily. My opinion would be obviously something with a lot of protection, and so obviously wind support there. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. But this guy should be fun. I don't think he's as toxic as Neo X Death, so I think everyone's gonna want to play him more. This one more. I still prefer Neo X Death, but he's good. And Tomberry, which I found very good. At the end of each of your turns, place one monster counter on Tomberry. Put Tomberry into the break zone, look at the same number of cards from the top of your deck as the monster counter is placed, and add one card among them to your hand. Then shuffle the other cards, and then return them to the bottom of your deck. Look at the same number of cards from the top of your deck as there are monster counters, right? And then add one card among them to your hand, right? So, one drop Tomberry. End of turn, get one counter. Next turn, remove Tomberry, draw a card. Just draw a card for one. It's pretty simple that way. But again, going into what it looks like Water is doing now, they are giving you options to like search further for the cards you want, right? We already have Batarang, which was an old 4-drop backup that lets you look at 4 and then take one. But this guy is going to be both going to just net you a card when you need it, or like let it build up, sure, and then search through the next 4 cards and fix get what you want and fix your draws, right? Like send it to the bottom. There's a lot of good things here. I really like Tomberry, so he should see play, I think. And he's WAF, so I don't know if that'll matter. WAF's all over the place there, but he's cool. And he is a multiples of, so you can just drop 3 in one turn and then next turn draw 3 cards. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to do it for us here. Remember, we have a lot of spoilers coming out soon, and again, card of the week, I think my first deck profile for this set should be coming out soon too, so hopefully I can get you that guy soon. Actually, I forgot one last thing before we go. There is this picture. So we've already have revealed, what is this, 4 of these? And then I believe in the card of the week post, they said they're coming back with a mainline character, right? This week's going to be another mainline character. We are looking at Vaughn here, the Zidane here, and the Mont here. Again, I think it says mainline titles, so I might exclude the Mont. Because although he is the main character, I guess, he is not in a main title. He's a mobile game title. So we might see the Zidane, but this is a full art Vaughn. So I'm pretty sure it should be Vaughn. There's also a poster out there that was revealed where Vaughn is on the cover of it. So that's my guesses for this. And that's how we're going to end this one. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you later.